Yeah, it certainly does. It feels like that some of our biggest businesses in Australia have actually dropped the ball on all of this, but government and business absolutely need to work together on this. How would you describe this package today? Is it a good, middle step? Is there a lot more work to do? What is it, Katherine?
Look, I think it's a bold vision and a lot of it now needs to roll out over the next couple of years. But as I said, there are some structural changes in there that I think have turned some things that we talk about in this industry as buzzwords, information sharing, public-private partnerships, for example. They're often buzzwords. There's strategies and clever mechanisms in this package that will actually change the game for some of these. So, for example, putting mandatory standards in place for our Internet Things of devices, those small, cheap consumer devices that we all use that traditionally don't have good cybersecurity. That is a meaningful change, as is more emphasis in this strategy on no-fault reporting. A lot of the time, businesses, frankly, are scared to phone in cyber incidents into government because they don't know what the consequences are, and we rely on a self-reporting mechanism, which really doesn't cut it for what is one of the most challenging issues of our time. That strategy is changing that. It's putting no-fault systems in place. It's putting, you could call them safe harbours in place for reporting, and it's also fixing some of those market asymmetries around information so that consumers have more trust in the technology that they use and hopefully more mechanisms to assess what is safe and what is not safe when it comes to buying their next technology investment.
Just one final question on this, because look, governments of both persuasions have been, I think, attuned to the need to do more in this area over the last couple of years. But I remember the previous government outlined in one of its budgets a 10-year cybersecurity strategy with funding going over that decade. Has that been maintained or built on? Or when we have elections, are those kind of plans just thrown out the window and new governments start from scratch?
Yeah, look, you're right, Laura, in the sense this is 7 years in since our first funded strategy as a nation, and we've had 3 strategies in that time, and this strategy is set to last out to 2030. The reality is that it is incremental building on many of the measures that have come before, and that's good, right? We're not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater and starting again. That big investment that you mentioned there, that $10 billion, I should say, or several $billion investment over 10 years, that was funding our Australian Signals Directorate. So that was increasing the capability of our cyber offensive operators and also our pointy tip of the spear when it comes to government. That's continued under this government, as it should. And it will continue to roll out to build that essential capability at the pointy end. Where we really need to focus now is that tide that lifts all boats across the rest of the economy, because it's no good if government has some pretty awesome capabilities in one segment of Australia. What we need is a whole of economy focused strategy that lifts up security and safety for businesses and, critically, the communities they serve.
Yeah, well said. Katherine, thanks so much for your time as always.
My pleasure. Good to be here.